Hello, as 2024 comes to an end and we start the year of 2025, I thought that I would rank all the books that I've read from kind of best read, ones that I absolutely ate up, to ones that I would burn because I didn't love. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is in no particular order. I'm just going to say my thoughts. I'm not going to say a lot about the book itself, but just where I would rank it in this kind of tier rating system. So first one, we have Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. I didn't love this one as much as I've loved his other books. So I feel like I'm going to say I probably would read it again, but it wasn't my favorite. Okay, next one, Attached. This is kind of a psychology book about attachment theories. It was good, but I don't think I'd read it again. It wasn't really my cup of tea, I guess. Happy Place by Emily Henry. To be honest, I don't remember a whole lot about this book, but it was okay. So I feel like I'll put it there. I probably would read it again, to be honest, but I feel like it shouldn't be that high up in my ranking system, if you know what I mean. Okay, Good Material. Again, didn't love it. I kind of forget a bit of what happens. I don't remember a whole lot, but yeah, so mid-section, it's gonna go. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I would definitely read again. I really want to read the second part of the series. It was good, but I didn't eat it up. I think I rated it like 3.5 stars. Okay, You Were Here, David Nichols, Burn It. I hated this book. It was so boring. Just, yeah, wouldn't recommend, wouldn't read. Tell Me Lies by J.P. Palmer. Ate it up. This was such a good book. I'm obsessed. Would recommend. It's kind of a crime thriller mystery book. You will read this in no time. Like, it's such a page turner. Oh, absolutely loved it. Verity. This is one I read a few years ago. Look, I don't think it's my cup of tea. It was really interesting. I kept wanting to read more. It was very fast paced, but just a bit creepy and weird. Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. I feel like, do I remember what happens in this? I think I do, but it's not a very memorable book that just comes to mind. So I feel like I'll put it in the mid tier. I probably wouldn't read it again, but it wasn't horrible. So yeah. Crying in H Mart was just not my cup of tea. I feel like I can see why people would enjoy this book, but it just personally wasn't for me. The Lost Man by Jane Harper, I would read again. It wasn't my favorite of Jane Harper's, but it was fine. Boundaries, burn it. Burn this book. Do not, if you want to read about boundaries and you want to learn how to set good boundaries, do not pick up this book. It was horrific. It's kind of got a Christian flavor to it, but it's done so badly that I wish it wasn't a Christian book, which is saying a lot. So yeah, don't read it, burn it. Rebel Rising, I wouldn't read it again. I didn't eat it up. I do remember it, but maybe I'll just put I don't remember a whole lot, even though I do. Maybe I should just change what this is called because I feel like it's just like meh. You know, it wasn't horrible. I wouldn't read it again, but it was just like meh. But it's not that it wasn't my cup of tea. It really was. But anyway. Okay, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was not my cup of tea at all. Like, I just found it so boring, to be honest. I just wanted to get to the end. I think it was so boring. I also don't love video games, so I don't know if I just couldn't get into the world of video games, and yeah, not for me. Green Dot, would I? It's in between these two tiers. Would read again and honestly don't remember a whole lot. I probably would read it again. I think I rated it like a 4-star. So it was decent. I do remember what happens. This girl in her 20s who has an office job who has this kind of relationship with a workmate. It was fine. I don't love books that have like cheating as the main storyline, but whatever. I'll read it again. Lola in the Mirror. Oh, this is another one that I ate up. I listened to this on audiobook. It was beautifully written. I loved it way more than Boy Swallows Universe, which is really controversial because I feel like not a lot of people do. So yeah, I ate that book up. All Fours by Miranda July, you can burn that book. It was creepy, it was gross. It was just like a weird vibe, honestly. The whole book, I was like, what is happening? Just don't pick it up. I did not like it. Although a lot of people did, so I might be in the minority, who knows. The Housemaid, I'm going to put The Housemaid up with The Housemaid's Secret. I reckon that The Housemaid I would read again, and The Housemaid's Secret I probably wouldn't. I feel like they could have just done one book and left it. You know, I feel like there didn't need to be a sequel, but I'm glad I read the sequel, but it's not like I'd pick it up again kind of thing. So it's always the way with sequels. I feel like if a book's good, just leave it at that. You don't need to write a second one. Okay, Work Backwards was okay. This is a non-fiction book about work, a 9-to-5 kind of job. And yeah, I do remember it. But again, this is a book where I'm like, I don't think I'd read it again. It was fine, like I'm glad I read it, but yeah, I have no desire necessarily to pick it up again or recommend it. Okay, You Had Me at Hello. This is probably similar, like I wouldn't read it again, I'm glad I read it. It was cute. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't groundbreaking. Conversation with Friends. I feel like I would read again, but it's not because it was a good book. It was because I don't remember a whole lot. And I remember not loving it. And also, yeah, I can't really remember. So I don't remember a whole lot, but I would read it again, is where I would put that. Malibu Rising, I actually loved this book and I really want to read it again. It's this, I think it's this story about this kind of party that all happens, and it's so funny that one book can be set just around one party, but it was, yeah, I really enjoyed it when I think back. That was a few years ago. J.P. Pomeroy, the one that I rated 8 up, Tell Me Lies, I read Home Before Night, and I just don't know if it's my cup of tea, to be honest, to be honest, I don't really remember a lot about what happens. I remember not loving it. Where do I put it? I'm just going to go, honestly, don't remember a whole lot because I remember not hating it. Like, it's not like it wasn't my cup of tea. I wasn't invested. So Kate Morton Homecoming was definitely not my cup of tea. It's a historical fiction and it was just very slow. It was a huge book. It didn't need to be that big. Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. I ate it up. This was such a good book. I've recommended it to so many people. I've never read a Leanne Moriarty book. This is her first one, and let me tell you, obsessed. It was so good. Ghosts by Dolly Alderton, I would read again. I did mind this book. I think this is a Dolly Alderton one that I have recommended to a few people, and it was great. Like, I enjoyed it. I didn't eat it up. It was kind of just a good book that I would read again. Book Lovers, unfortunately, guys, was not my cup of tea. I just think it was really cringy, really just not believable. Yeah, I didn't love it. Come at me. The Other Side of Beautiful, I'm in between Burn It and not my cup of tea. I'm going to say not my cup of tea because it wasn't like horrible. And I can see and appreciate why people would read it and like it. But I just thought it was so boring, like so boring. So I'll just put not my cup of tea, I think. Funny Story by Emily Henry. I actually loved this book. Again, that's probably between ate it up and would read again. I probably would read again. I feel like you know in your gut if you ate a book up, if you absolutely loved it. And I was just rooting for Daphne and Miles the whole time in Funny Story. I loved Funny Story. I definitely would read it again. Jeanette McCurdy, I Wish My Mum Died. This was such a good autobiography about her life, and it was so sad. I didn't eat it up. I don't know if I would read it again. I feel like I've read it and I'm glad I have. So maybe I would just do in the midsection again. Like, I do remember what happened, but I just wouldn't necessarily read it again. Happily Never After by Lynn Painter was not my cup of tea. It was a good storyline. The plot was great. The characters were interesting. It had so much sex in the whole book that just put me off. Like, I would not recommend this. Ugh, I get really weird when the whole book relies on the sexual tension of characters. I'm like, we can have a nice story without this, you know? It doesn't have to be the literal main plot. So yeah, not my cup of tea. But I can see why people like it. It has a really good plot and storyline, interesting characters, good development. But yeah, just not my cup of tea. Daisy Jones and the Six. I feel like, so I definitely would read this again, but I didn't eat it up at the time. But I feel like if I read it again, I would eat it up because I'm just in a different era. This was when I just started getting into books and reading, fiction books particularly. So I feel like this might change if I reread it, to be honest. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Oh, I ate that up. That was just, I found that so relatable. It was so nostalgic, just the things that she spoke about. And yeah, I've recommended this to so many people. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Okay, I've got a few of the Rosie projects that I'm just going to put together. Where's the other one? Okay, guys, don't look. I'm just adding. Wait, here. Okay, so the Rosie project I loved. I reckon I ate it up, honestly. I really, 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 really loved it. The second one in the series, I think it's The Rosie Effect. It was not my cup of tea. Didn't love it. I thought it was like, I was like, why am I continuing to read this story? Like, and then I don't know why I picked up the third one because I was like, Annalise, just leave it. But you know, when there's a series and you've read 2 out of the 3 and you're like, I can't stop now. Well, that was me with the third one, except I actually would read the third one again. So first one I loved, second one, not great. And third one was like, nice. So Mame by Jessica George, I've really loved, actually. I would read this one again. It was just a wholesome story. Yeah, I would read it again. Okay, Tom Lake by Anne Patchett was not my cup of tea. I can appreciate why people liked this book. I can understand why the hype was around it. I just didn't love the storyline. It was about this mum telling her kids her life growing up, and this was kind of during the COVID era. So yeah, it just wasn't for me, but I can see why people like it. Anne Patchett's writing is beautiful. I'd love to read another Anne Patchett book just to see if that's more of my cup of tea. But yeah, this one just fell a bit flat. Okay, The Flatcher by Beth O'Leary. I feel like I would read it again. It was, I feel like I think about this book more after I've read it than during. Like during I was kind of like, but then afterwards it actually is a really memorable book just because of the funniness of the characters. And yeah, so I probably would read this one again. And I feel like, I honestly think sometimes that the second time that you read a book, it's just better because you know what to expect. And so, yeah, I would read it again. Tiny Humans, Big Emotions is a nonfiction book about parenting styles and how to deal with toddlers. I would read it again. I found it helpful at the time. And yeah, I think it's helpful if you're working at a preschool or you're nannying. Yeah, I found it really helpful. Okay, Erica James, Letters from the Past. I'm just going to say not my cup of tea. I didn't finish this one. It was, again, a historical fiction, huge book, too many characters. Yeah, not for me, personally. Okay, Unnecessary Drama by Nina Kenwood. I ate it up. I feel like I could just relate so much to the main character. I loved it. I would definitely, yeah, I want to pick this up. And I recommended it to a few friends who have also loved it. Okay, romantic comedy. I don't remember a whole lot about this book. I don't really remember what it's about. It wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't great either. The Dry by Jane Harper. Oh, see, this is hard because I feel like it would go in front of The Lost Man. Like, I preferred it better. So I feel like it shouldn't be in this tier. But I didn't... Oh, did I eat it up? No, because I feel like, again, you know in your gut if you ate it up. Okay, I feel like I'll put this in that would read again, but this is definitely before The Lost. I'm just going to do this. It's better than The Lost Man. Just let me put it that way. Okay, Then She Was Gone. I don't remember a whole lot about this. I always get confused with Then She Was Gone and The Invisible Girl. I really can't remember which is which. So anyway, The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I remember the storyline because it was these two women who switched lives, and one of them's very old, one of them's very young. So it was really funny in that kind of way. I remember not loving it, so I'd probably put it in just the meh category. None of this is true. I would read again. I feel like it was really gripping. It was really interesting. Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed None of This Is True. I think that was my first Lisa Jewell book that I read, and I liked it. Okay, The No Show by Beth O'Leary. To be honest, I feel like this was just not my cup of tea. It was very slow. I wasn't really into it. Like, I wasn't here for the characters or the plot. There were 3 different characters, and it followed their love life, and then it kind of came together in a weird way at the end. Yeah, I probably wouldn't read that again. Harry Potter. Guys, what do I rate Harry Potter? Because I didn't eat it up. Sorry, don't come at me. Would I read it again? Now that I've read it once, I probably wouldn't read it again, to be honest. But it's not like it wasn't my cup of tea. Like, I quite enjoyed it. So maybe I'll put it again in the middle section. But I do remember what happens. But it was fine. The 7 Year Slip was okay. It kind of got me hooked. Would I read it again? I probably would read it again. It had an interesting storyline about this apartment, this like magical apartment where you step in and you go either forwards or backwards in time, 7 years. And so it wasn't, I've never really read a book like that before. It was really fast paced. I read it in like a few days. So yeah, maybe I would read it again. Where the Crawdads Sing. This is my first fiction book that I've ever read as an adult. And I feel like it was hard going, but I feel like that was only because I just got into fiction books. So I feel like I want to read this again because I think my rating would change significantly. Like, I really think that I would love this book a lot more now that I've read a few fiction books. Okay, The Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella, I would read again. This was just a really funny story about this girl who is saying goodbye to her family home because her parents got divorced. But she doesn't, like, she's kind of spiteful, and so she doesn't want to come to the party, but she ends up like sneaking in, and she's like under the table, and it's quite funny. I would read it again. Underneath the Christmas Tree was fine. I feel like it's not my cup. Oh, no, okay, I'm going to put it in the middle section because it was really cutesy. It was about this kind of Christmas tree farm and how it was going to be sold, but then this girl comes whose dad used to own it and saves the day, and there's this romance plot through it. It's very predictable, very fluffy, but it was cute. It was fine. Beach Read. I don't remember a whole lot, but I really want to read it again. But I feel like it wasn't a second tier rating, if you know what I mean. But maybe it would be if I reread it. Okay, I'm going to put it in the second tier only because I think this is one of the first Emily Henry books that I'd read. I didn't really know the writing of Emily Henry. I didn't know what to expect. I think going in now and rereading it, I would understand more about how much spice is going to be in it. And that wouldn't take me by surprise. And I feel like I can maybe appreciate the plot knowing that. So I would read it again. Yeah. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I would read again. I didn't love it as much as The Rosie Project, although they're quite similar books. But I remember really loving it and just laughing the whole way through at these characters. And it was really wholesome. Their kind of character development, the two people in it, if you know, you know. Anyway, yeah, it was very cute. Okay, it starts with us and it ends with us. To be honest, I don't remember a whole lot of both of them. I feel like I'm glad that I read it. I remember enjoying it while I was reading it. I don't think I would read it again. I don't necessarily even think I'd recommend them. I feel like if you're gonna watch the movie, It Ends With Us, then probably read the book first, because you get like so much more detail than what the movie gives you. And I feel like it's clearer in the kind of domestic violence stuff. It's clearer in the book what's going on, whereas in the movie, it feels a bit lessened. I don't know if that was just for film, they couldn't put certain things in because it was sensitive, but I feel like the book is definitely better than the movie. And It Starts With Us was really wholesome to kind of tie the story in a beautiful bow. Maybe I would read it again. No, I'm going to stick with my gut. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the midsection. And the lucky last one, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I ate this one up. I really, really loved this. I just remember flying through it. I really loved hearing her story, and it was so beautiful. And then the plot twist at the end, I did not expect that at all. So yeah, I really loved it. So there are all of my fiction books that I've read. I haven't included any of my non-fiction books. If I did, it would be like triple the list. But it's funny, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that are like absolutely top tier. It's interesting that majority of them I would read again. That's surprising and encouraging. And only a few that really weren't my cup of tea, and like not many that I'd burn, which is a good thing, I'm sure. But yeah, let me know if you would disagree with any of these reading ratings. I'd love to know the 3 at the bottom that I've said burn it. Like, if you've had a good experience with those books, let me know, because I would love to chat to people who have actually enjoyed it. And who knows, maybe I'll try again and it'll be a different rating next time. But yeah, those are my top ratings. Enjoy your new year in 2025. I hope that I will read double the books that I've got down here. I hope you do too. And I will see you in my next video.